Let's watch the darkest kids TV ever made. Okay, flashing lights.
It's the winter of 1985. A family living in a remote region of the Philippines receives a package at their door, which contained a single VHS tape and a note stating that the contents were for the children of the house. And so the kids...
And you actually let the children watch it like a random package? Is it like a subscription thing, or it's just like random packages showing up in you guys' doorstep?
Were gathered up one by one and sat in front of the television where the tape began to play, introducing them to a brand new show called...
Oh Jesus. Life with Grandpa, so ominous. Dun, 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 dun.
This was the experience for hundreds of kids across the world, made to watch a seemingly harmless puppet show about a grandpa and his family, with most of the young viewers loving it, gladly watching this episode and the many others that would be sent later on, over and over again, blissfully unaware that what they were being shown would someday come to be known as one of the most disturbing rabbit holes in the history of children's media. This is the story of Life with Grandpa, the darkest kids show ever made.
Just looking at the puppet show creeps me out. Oh my god. Oh great. It's a cult, is it?
Can I persuade you to subscribe?
Before we dive any further down this rabbit hole, I want to first thank today's video sponsor, Saley. Throughout my life, I've taken out and get started today.
Okay.
A fellowship dedicated to sharing.
She loved to play on the steep hillside.
Oh my god.
Grandpa, won't you come along?
No.
This is Life with Grandpa.
Stop freaking staring me with those dead eyes.
A straight-to-VHS show made for children created sometime in the mid-80s. The program followed a family of humanoid puppets on their journey to teach the audience lessons loosely based on Christianity, through the use of stories, skits, and songs, acting as a guide for children to live their best possible lives for Jesus.
We're continuing with some more lessons about prayer. Are you all ready?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
No.
Thank you, Lord. Such sweethearts.
The show was set up in an episodic fashion, never following any main overarching storyline, and instead, each installment would be composed of a series of shorter segments, recounting past experiences from this family, with an occasional musical number thrown in here and there.
We don't have a sad God. We have a happy God who wants us to be happy too.
Unsurprisingly, the main character of the crew was Grandpa, who acted as the show's host, often being the one to teach the episode's central messages not
The cult leader.
only to his on-screen family, but to all the kids watching at home.
But it's my kite.
But wouldn't you like to pray that some poor little boy who doesn't have so many toys and blessings as you do will find your kite?
Yes, Grandpa.
As he was
No, it's mine.
made to be a wise, almost religious-like figure whose words were never questioned. Often seen by his side was his wife, Mother Maria, though for as often as she's shown, she rarely has much to say.
Yes, thank the Lord for such a good, sweet boy.
Oh god.
Typically only chiming in when she's reiterating Grandpa's messages to the children. And of the children, there was Davida, Techi, and Davidito, with the latter being one of the show's
Why is that one Techi? While others is like Dabadi Dabu.
central figures, landing right next to or potentially even ahead of Grandpa in terms of screen time, as Davidito often got his own segments and told his own stories directly to the audience.
Hello, children. Would you like to hear some exciting prayer adventures? This first story happened when I was very small.
And though it's never outright stated, it's clear that Davidito was put on a pedestal, with the child often getting special treatment and being showered in gifts, as the family clearly seemed to favor him.
So, is he the youngest child or the oldest? That's a question.
Thank you, Uncle Al.
It's called a kite.
We want to give you a little surprise because you were such a good witness.
This brand new tape recorder is for you.
Thank you, Jesus.
With there never being an explanation as to why. This is the core group of Life with Grandpa, with the only other reoccurring characters being Aunt Sarah and Uncle Elf, a couple that was often shown around the house helping look after the kids. And despite this looking like something pulled straight from the depths of the uncanny valley, the content within the show didn't really seem all that troublesome. In fact, it appeared fairly normal, and not too unlike the many other low-budget religious shows of the time, highlighting themes like obedience,
Nothing short of right is right.
Yes, so the right thing is...
To obey.
Sharing.
Wow. Using obey is a freaking serious word. Oh. And you say this is not a cult?
Good morning, Davida. I have a surprise for you.
Oh, can I see it?
I would like to share my cars with you. Which ones do you like?
I will take it all. Only children choose. But technically they are children,
And
I
loving
guess.
everyone.
That's really sweet of you, David. Thank you for that nice, generous present.
What present?
That nice kiss. A kiss makes a real beautiful gift or present.
Okay.
Though mixed within these fairly standard
And
teachings,
it's free.
you'll find other moments that are far more unusual.
Don't run down that gravel hill.
I'm running down.
Davida!
You see?
Oh, Davida.
She's bleeding, and her cut is all covered with dirt.
And I don't even have a tissue to wipe it with.
Wash it.
I'll just have to lick it clean.
Ew.
And spit out the dirt.
Ew. Lick it clean. Ew. Like all the freaking germs. Help.
The show featured a lot of strange underlying themes that seem to have nothing to do with religion, or at least not the conventional beliefs of Christianity,
Just
with
go
one of the
wash
more
it.
obvious being its unprompted disdain for doctors.
We'll have to really pray that there won't be a scar.
Pray.
Soon afterwards, there was no sign at all of the deep gash on Davida's forehead. Surely a doctor would have stitched it, but our God is still a God of miracles. Praise the Lord.
It's just like one of those medieval fantasy games, like cleric, white mage, and stuff. A priest. So fitting.
As well as its constant endorsement of spanking.
Spanking.
Jesus spanks us because he loves us and wants us to obey and be good.
We're really sorry. So if the Lord should spank you a little bit or correct you, it's for your own good. It's because he loves you and wants you to be good and obey.
And while these are certainly strange, by far the most glaring indication that Life with Grandpa wasn't just your typical kids show came from the program's stance on women, with the first major example coming from a song made for the young girls watching on.
Okay, not again. It's a cult!
Dishes and clean the floor, and God can show us something more. I'm ready for any job at all, whether it's great or whether it's small. I'm ready to go, ready to stay, ready my place to fill. Ready for service, lowly or great, ready to do God's will.
The message behind this song is clear. If you're a woman, then it's your job to cook, clean, and have babies. And that's about it.
Oh my god,
as this
what if I don't want to do that? Are you gonna make me perish?
Is that what you mean?
Or you're just gonna disown me?
is God's will
And I
your
go
sole
homeless.
purpose for existing. And while this ideology was certainly not as controversial at the time, the show took it even further, as it hammered home this idea to all the children watching on by repeating one line at the end over and over again.
That's crazy.
And obey, for there's no other way. Trust and obey, for there's no other way. Trust and obey, for there's no other way.
Making it clear that this was a lesson that the showrunners didn't want these kids to question. But as comically offensive as this song is, it was far from the worst that the show had to offer.
No way, that's so scary, not gonna lie. But like, how many of the kids get it? It's for like toddlers, 1 to 3. How many of the toddlers get it?
It's time for our lecture
He's a friendly scientist, a real good friend of ours.
Go away,
In another
Grandpa.
episode, we're shown a musical number about Grandpa, who's portrayed as a scientist that's always busy working, though the song is really less about him and more about his love interest.
Love interest? What is this?
He's in love with a robot. Watch her.
It has boobies!
Yeah.
A robot with long hair and nude female breasts. It's one of the most surreal things that I've ever seen on a kid's show. As
Cover your eyes, kids. It's just there.
this thing was clearly meant to be a portrayal of Grandpa's wife and women in general, likening them to robots. Though unlike the previous demeaning song, this number is blatantly perverted, as it not only shows the robot having breasts, but it also shows Grandpa fondling them as well. And these perversions weren't even exclusive to its imagery.
A kid's show.
That's when she gets excited.
What the heck?
It's shocking for so many reasons, but mainly due to the fact that this was on a show that was literally made for toddlers and young children, who were now being shown this clearly explicit content. And most disturbing of all is the realization that this sexualized material was actually nothing new to the world of Life with Grandpa.
Wait, so they say it's nothing new. What are the parents doing? Did you not monitor what your kids watch or something? Like the iPad kids?
Predating the puppets, there was a little-known illustrated book series called Life of Grandpa, with the show practically being a shot-for-shot remake of this book series, featuring the same exact characters and stories. And much like the show, the series was also a religious guide created for children.
That's a lot of words.
In its pages, you'll find themes about morality and lessons made to guide you towards a proper way of living through this religion. But these books also had a very apparent dark side, one far worse than the show it inspired. In the chapter Real Fathers, we're shown a scene where Techi and Davidito question why they have two different skin colors, despite them being siblings, as Techi noticed that Davidito's skin appeared light brown, while hers was almost pure white, to which Grandpa then explains to them how his wife and their mother had slept with other men.
Oh jeez. Wait, he explained these things to young kids? Seriously?
See, God used Timothy and Carlos only to fuck mama so that I could have you both.
They
were just like an
the
instrument or tool that Jesus used to help create you wonderful little children for his kingdom. Praise the Lord. This was followed by an in-depth explanation of what that scene looked like, including images depicting the act.
My god. What? Oh my god. What is this?
Examples like this are prevalent all throughout the pages of Life with Grandpa, with erotic material being shown constantly with no regard as to how inappropriate this is to be showing kids. Which begs the obvious question, why? Why was Life with Grandpa so blatantly perverted? Well, the answer lies with the author of the books, and the reason for the show's existence. David Berg.
He shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect. That's when Jesus is going to come back, to rapture his saints, to gather them together.
Born in 1919, David grew up a devout believer in Christianity, but wanted something more from the religion. He dreamed of one day starting his own group with his own teachings, and in 1968, at the ripe age of 50, he decided it was time to do just that. The group began in Huntington Beach, California, and went by many names over the years, like Teens for Christ, the Children of God, the Family of Love, the Family International, or just the Family. But regardless of its name, there was no denying what this group was. A cult.
Yeah, a literal family, because everyone is fucking everyone.
A cult led by David Berg. Berg would find young hippies and those struggling with drug addiction and mental health issues, and convince them to join his group by stating that the end of the world was coming soon, and that they needed to follow in his path and join his family to save their souls.
Like, it's always the end of the world thing.
It was pretty standard cult ideology, but at the time it was extremely effective, with the sect amassing a staggering 10,000 members at its peak. And at first, David got by with fairly standard teachings from the Bible, although this wouldn't last. After some time, Berg began addressing his followers via frequent illustrated messages called Mo letters that featured his ramblings and teachings from the time, with Berg slowly ingraining into his members that the contents of these letters should be taken as seriously, if not more so, than the Bible. In one of these letters sent out in 1972, Berg claimed that God was going to destroy the United States and that the group needed to flee the country immediately, with Berg...
Wait. Isn't this the Philippines? This random tape just got randomly placed in the Philippines? It was shipped from the US?
Demanding that his followers spread out all across the globe and open up communal homes where members could live as one, far away from the public eye. As a result, many members packed up their things and left right away, leading to roughly 130 communities being established across 70 different countries, essentially overnight. This mass migration had an extremely significant impact on the family, as it left practically the entire group outside of the United States, and more importantly, outside of the United States jurisdiction, meaning that Berg can now get away with far more than he used to. And unsurprisingly, this is where he began to tighten his control.
In my opinion, this guy just wants to fuck. He wants to build a harem for himself. Jeez. So easy.
The full-time members were made to give up all of their earthly possessions to the group and cease all contact with their family and friends who were non-believers, cutting them off from the outside world completely. And these restrictions also applied to the media they consumed.
I decided I would limit how much I would watch the TV.
No, never.
The answer is to slave the master. It no longer has a spell on me.
In his teachings, Berg denounced all forms of entertainment made outside of the cult, since he believed that this would poison the minds of his members and potentially sway them into leaving the group. And so instead,
Yeah, because they will know that you are freaking lying.
he insisted that his followers only consume media that was produced directly by the family, with these works often being created by Berg himself or the other followers he enlisted, and then shipped directly to the members' homes, leading to hundreds if not thousands of videos, movies, and TV shows being produced and shared among the family. But for Berg, this wasn't just about providing entertainment. It was really all about controlling the minds of his group, and
I see, so the family in the Philippines is like one
even
of
more
them.
importantly, indoctrination, with his primary targets being children. From birth, most kids were not shown any media other than what the cult gave their parents, with these works quite literally shaping their minds into following everything that the cult believed in without question. The main themes of these were usually things like always be happy,
More than 70 little muscles form a rowdy face.
But only 14 muscles put a smile in its place on your face.
always show love, and never, under any circumstances, question your parents.
Always best to do it 'cause Daddy said so. Do it 'cause Daddy said so.
Only daddy?
Do it 'cause Daddy said so.
Oh, how about mommy?
Obey and do it 'cause Daddy said so. Do it 'cause Daddy said so. Because Daddy knows best.
And life with Grandpa was
That's crazy. It's only daddy. Where's mommy?
no exception.
Oh, I guess. Maybe your mom is like a different woman.
And Life with Grandpa was no exception, as it too was created by the family in order to instill their beliefs into its child viewers, with the line trust and obey being hammered home time and time again, as those creating the programs didn't want their kids questioning any of the practices, and so they were teaching them to simply smile along and trust the adults. But because the group was the one producing and distributing the content, they basically had no regulations placed on them, meaning that they could include whatever they want in these shows without any repercussions, leading to many of the showrunners exploring some of the group's more controversial beliefs, which becomes extremely troublesome when you realize that the family wasn't just your standard cult, and instead, it was a sex cult.
Figures.
Think of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. What are you thinking about? You think about a beautiful naked man and a beautiful naked woman. And what is the first thing that a beautiful naked man and a beautiful naked woman
They wrestle, is
would
it?
of course naturally do as soon as they saw each other and nobody else around? I think just one look was all it took. And
David
He just wants to fuck. His master plan. He only has one brain cell and it's only to fuck.
Berg was a deeply perverted man. The idea of sex consumed him and seeped its way into essentially all of his teachings.
I think Adam and Eve are over there behind those bushes right now, busy making not pina colada. I think they're making some other kind of juices.
And once his followers were outside of the US, he began to preach something he called the law of love, which essentially said that the family should be showing all people love, and that love should come in the form of sex.
I practice what I preach, and I preach sex, boys and girls. Hallelujah.
And so he told his followers to open up their relationships to outsiders, calling the practice sharing, as you were made to share your partner in the hopes of enticing new people to join the group. But he wasn't satisfied with just this, and instead he began to mandate that the women of the group participate in something he called flirty fishing. Also known as FF, flirty fishing describes the practice of women going into bars at night in order to pick up lonely men, who they would then entertain for the night. The goal of this was to convince these men to join the family, though more realistically, the goal was also to make money, as they were made to charge for their services, with the women being told to seek lonely businessmen. And this is something that Berg not only pushed heavily, but outright mandated, insisting that every woman in the group do this or face being removed from the family, even those who were married. And Berg was so serious about this that he sent every colony report forms so that they could report how much flirty fishing was being done in order to check their
They even freaking have quotas!
statistics and make sure that they were up to par. Understandably, many women of the group were concerned by this and wanted nothing to do with it. However, most of them had moved all the way across the world and sacrificed all of their belongings to be in this group, meaning that their removal would leave them with nothing. They were trapped. Simply put, Berg was forcing the women of the group into prostitution, and he was shameless about it too, calling them God's whores and Christ's hookers.
My God.
The worst of all, Berg knew that flirty fishing could put these women in grave danger, as he admitted to them that violent assaults were going to happen, but he said that if you want to live, simply don't resist. And if you do get hurt or even killed, that's entirely your fault.
What?
After all, it was God's will.
What? It's a freaking death trap! If people preach me something that says, you will always be happy, or like, it's God's will, or something, I might just squeeze a lemon in their eyes. Am I not allowed to be freaking sad and depressed? Continue.
And this was on top of a myriad of other horrific things that Berg said that I can't even repeat here. But the man saying all of these horrific things was the same man who wrote Life with Grandpa, and he used this medium to saying all of these myriad of other horrific things that Berg said that I can't.
It says, the girl who does all the rest and then suddenly doesn't want to go all the way is going to have nobody but herself to blame. What the what?
Even repeat here. But the man saying all of these horrific things was the same man who wrote Life with Grandpa, and he used this medium to normalize his sex cult's beliefs for the children watching, which gives more context as to why women were portrayed in the way they were in these books and the show, as Life with Grandpa was breaking down the young girls watching and grooming them for a life of prostitution that they were made to accept without question.
Trust and obey, for there's no other way. Trust and obey.
Though the show
Yeah,
wasn't
trust
only
your
for preparing
ass.
the kids for the perverse lifestyles they were headed for, and instead, they were already becoming well accustomed to it.
The poor kids,
Throughout his
man.
letters, Berg also began to preach that children should be involved in these affairs and sharing as well, stating that he believed age should have nothing to do with it. In fact, he believed that children should be taught about this lifestyle essentially as soon as they're born. And although
They're freaking born, they're freaking babies! What is wrong with you? Instead of heaven, he should be just go down to the depths of hell.
again, I can't read his exact words on this.
There's a lot of succubus and incubus over there. I mean, you can enjoy yourself.
Again, I can't read his exact words on this. Berg had declared open season on pedophilia, and much like flirty fishing, it was mandatory. The abuse that followed is unimaginable, at a scale far too large to fully know to this day. Abuse that the parents of the children not only allowed, but often participated in, with one of the more notorious large-scale accounts coming from something that the group called the Love Video. This movie was a result of Berg sending out requests to all of the parents to send him lewd videos of their children dancing, which he not only took for himself, but packaged together into a long-form compilation video that was then distributed to all of the cult's members, encouraging the others to film similar content.
Freaking compilation videos!
With Berg going as far as creating a guide to help create the perfect video. And not only did many parents go along with this, but many clearly enjoyed it.
Keita shared with us the video that just came from World Services, and it was so inspiring. It was so beautiful. The love video.
And for this couple specifically,
These people are clearly dehydrated, immensely dehydrated. I'm gonna squeeze some lemons into your eyes.
this wasn't the only order that they were happily following.
And it was really a blessing, too, for Joe and Hobo, because they had a good chance to share also with Sally.
Huh? I was about to say, like, did you freaking name your child a hobo?
And,
But then,
so the Lord's
sharing!
really setting us freer and freer to obey and to be free and to show that sample of freedom and love to the world.
It's crazy.
Life with Grandpa was literally created to indoctrinate kids into a pedophilic sex cult, and it makes you realize why exactly it and so many other of the cult's programs were hammering home this point of not questioning your parents or any adults, and to simply obey and smile.
So the right thing is
To obey.
Because the adults in their lives were now suddenly doing unimaginable things to them, and they were being groomed not to question it, making some of the show's segments horrendous in hindsight.
One very special way you can show the big people that you love them is by giving them lots of hugs, kisses, and cuddles. Oh, a child's love and affection really encourages and inspires the big people.
It was normalizing their abuse, and because of this, many children never questioned the horrible assaults that they endured. Assaults that were all fueled and pushed by David Berg's sick perversions.
God created boys and girls able to have
Oh
children
my God.
by about the age of 12 years of age.
You seriously trust this stupid looking guy? That's freaking the face of a villain. Oh my God. I'll continue.
By about the age of 12 years of age. My God, now he's gonna advocate child and sex. Yes.
Which were far from theoretical, as Berg himself allegedly partook in this practice repeatedly with his own children and stepchildren, as it was also a key point of his teachings, and his adult followers rarely dared to question this, as those who refused to partake in Berg's latest teachings were again at risk of removal from the group, which is even more devastating for those who had children, as much like all of their possessions, their kids were pledged and belonged to the family. And the kids themselves couldn't seek help either, as those that refused to trust and obey were sent away to actual prison camps owned by the cult until they were basically reprogrammed.
Oh my God.
I was sent with my brother to the Philippines. We had armed guards from the Filipino military keeping us in. They would publicly
Armed guards are crazy. Where do you get those?
beat you if you asked to leave, then tried to break you and get you to confess.
And the group continuously got away with this too, thanks in large part to Berg's orchestration of the group leaving the United States, which looking back was almost certainly done on purpose. Plus, many members were actually living in hiding. In fact, all of the members were made to change their names upon joining the group, and most were told to never give out their last names, meaning that if any child wanted to report that had happened to them, they would be unable to provide even the names of their abusers. And this included Berg too, who at this point lived most of his life in hiding, going by numerous aliases to avoid detection. Aliases like King, Moses, Mo, Dad, and eventually Grandpa.
Grandpa is getting older and older. This is so messed up, man. I wasn't expecting like so dark. Like, I know it's a cult, but this is bad.
The entire show was about him, David.
Although any cult is bad, but yeah, watching this seriously bad.
Which is why he was shown as a wise, unquestioned religious-like figure who the children were made to look up to. And that wasn't all, as the characters shown alongside Berg were also members of his real-life family that lived with him in a remote commune. Mother Maria was the nickname of Karen Zerby, David's wife who helped him run the cult and facilitate this era of hypersexualization, while Aunt Sarah was based on Sarah Kelly, the woman in charge of running the prison camp made to punish the kids who dared question the family's beliefs.
Sarah Kelly, who was responsible for me being held against my will in the Philippines.
But the most grotesque detail to come from the revelation of who these characters are was that it showcased David Berg's polygamy, as he was actually married to many people in the real world, and two characters on the show itself, Mother Maria and...
His child! Freaking... What the fuck is wrong with this guy? And I assume, because everybody is fucking everybody, and fucking everybody outside the cult, the amount of diseases spreading around is gonna be so crazy, so wild. It's spreading like a freaking wildfire.
Davida, his then 5-year-old stepdaughter.
5 freaking
Davida would eventually go on to tell
year-old.
her story, stating that she had been Berg's child bride.
And there was a ceremony with the ring and everything, and once I turned 5 years old was when I was implicated into being one of his queens, so to speak.
Along with allegations that she had been victimized by him countless times. And she wasn't the only victim of Berg's perversions. Techi was often sexualized by Berg publicly, with Berg having stories made and illustrated depicting his fantasies about her when she was just a child. On top of this, numerous people within the group also claimed that she had been outright assaulted by the hands of Berg, as well as many others in the group.
And look at our pretty girls today. You're dressed in such nice dresses and your hair looks so nice. Yes, you look so pretty for all the children that are watching today.
The context of who these characters are makes this already disturbing show that much more sickening. But of all of the horrible stories to come from the real-life characters of Life with Grandpa, there's one that is far and away the most horrific. The story of Davidito.
David is such a handsome boy, isn't he, girls? Would you like for David to share some more lessons?
Yes, Grandpa.
Are you all ready? Okay, David, you have the floor.
His real name was Ricky Rodriguez, and as a baby, he was taken in as Berg's son following Maria conceiving him with a man after a night of flirty fishing. And being David's first son, he was given the nickname Davidito. As for David Berg, he viewed this child as essentially a messiah. He began telling his followers that Davidito would one day save them from the apocalypse, causing Davidito to become a celebrity within the group, and worshipped as a religious figure when he was just a baby. Which explains why he was given so much airtime during Life with Grandpa, and why he was constantly being showered with gifts.
We want to give you a little surprise because you were such a good witness.
And for David and Karen,
Like, witness to what? The scene? The fucking scene in front of him?
and they wanted Davidito's life and childhood to be a guide for all members of the group, as they raised him in what they believed to be the perfect manner for a godly household. And so the couple and several other contributors documented the way he was raised, with daily journal entries that were published as weekly newsletters, and eventually turned into one massive book titled The Story of Davidito. And the family truly believed that this over 700-page book was the ultimate guide for parenting and showed the only proper way to raise a child, though what it actually showed was just how badly Davidito was being abused. Davidito is described laying next to his nude nannies, witnessing orgies involving his own mother, and being touched sexually by the adults around him, with these examples being presented through not only written stories, but actual photographs, with the adults involved having their faces removed and drawings placed over the top of them in order to hide their identities. The book was not only promoting sexual acts with children, but it was outright showing it, and showing it happen to Davidito.
In front of him! His whole freaking life! What the...
And because of this, we have a daily journal entry of all the abuse that this child suffered, starting when he was an infant. Despite all the heinous acts that had been going on within the family, they had up until this point gone virtually unchecked by the public eye. But the story of Davidito would prove to be the first domino to fall, as the book leaked to the press.
Tonight, the cult Children of God, founded by Moses David Berg, he reportedly sanctioned sex among children.
No, I'm sorry, but the freaking song behind... It looks like someone... Da-da, da-da, da-da. Oh god.
This immediately became a news story all across the world, and it began shining a light on the family and its twisted beliefs. But despite all the constant news coverage, and the story of Davidito being tangible proof of the cult's horrible practices, there was still essentially nothing done to stop them, as very few arrests were ever made as a result, and even fewer resulted in convictions. So nothing was ever done to help Davidito. And so during his entire childhood and his early adult years, he stayed with the group. Though the older he got, the more he began to see the family for what they really were, and the constant pain that he was experiencing eventually made him want to just run away from it all. And so, in 1999, that's exactly what he did.
He actually did not get brainwashed. Holy! He's so strong, thank God that he's normal.
Fleeing to the United States in the hopes of starting a new life. Though this was easier said than done, and no amount of distance was enough to keep him away from his tortured past.
I think I've watched this one before.
At one point during his time in the United States, Ricky actually opened up about the struggles he was experiencing on a website made for survivors of the family. And there, he documented just how bad things really were for him and several others behind the scenes, living with Berg, appropriately titling the post, Life with Grandpa. It was apparent that he was haunted by this life that he tried to escape, as the trauma was an everyday cycle of hell, and he just couldn't take it anymore.
Do you know that sometimes the Lord likes to test our faith, to teach us patience, and to really make us pray? This is just what happened to me once.
Like, what he meant is like the real Lord is testing his patience on everything he experienced because of his grandpa. Oh my god. I don't want such patience, man. I can't even sit through a 4-hour movie. Much like his whole life.
Well, hey everyone. I want people to know that even though some of the things that I'm going to try to do a rather shocking and maybe not right in a lot of people's books. I want to explain some of the reasons behind it.
On January 7th, 2005, Ricky Rodriguez set up a video camera in his apartment and expressed his desire to kill his mother and other leaders of the group for all the dreadful things that they had done not only
But holy, he's ripped,
to him, but to all the other children, with his hope being that this would finally bring down the family once and for all.
My goal is to get those sick fucks, Mom and Peter, and, you know, then I can go to the next life knowing that, you know, that I made a difference.
With Ricky going as far as to show off the various ways that he planned on torturing them.
I'm gonna have to make do. I got my drill here.
Oh my god.
Got lots of duct tape.
God knows, He hears, He cares. He loves His girls and boys. He gives His very best to those who let Him choose the toys.
By this point, David Berg had been dead for years.
Dang it! The freaking main perpetrator got away.
Carried on with his mother, Karen Zerby, assuming full control, which explains why she was the primary target. And much like Berg, Karen spent most of her life in hiding, with Ricky being unable to track her down, though he was able to find Angela Smith, one of the nannies responsible for raising him, as well as one of his most prominent abusers, as she was even shown in the story of Davidito assaulting him. At this point, Ricky was exhausted, and Angela was his last shot at getting intel to help him find his mother and finally carry through on his plans. And so, he invited her over for dinner, under the guise of rejoining the group.
I went home that night and tried to wait patiently for the next day. But the Lord still had more lessons that He wanted to teach me. This is what happened.
What?
Before Ricky could even get the information he was looking for, something in him snapped, and midway through their conversation, Ricky grabbed a knife and stabbed Karen in the arm, and then slit her throat. He fled the area that night, driving for hours until he reached California, the place that years before David Berg had started the family. There, he called his ex-wife, professing to everything he did, saying that he did it mainly for his sister Techi, but he felt no better. In fact, he felt worse. And even looking back at the video, it's very obvious that this was something that Ricky didn't truly want to do, and instead, he felt like he had to do it, to avenge everyone that the family had hurt.
But I'm not trained. I don't know how to do this. I don't even want to do this. God damn it.
And it was too late to take back what he did.
Can they just call the police? Is it not an option? Will the police like think he's lying or something?
And so he stopped the car in a dark parking lot, sat there for a moment thinking about everything that had happened during his painful life, and ended his suffering once and for all.
Huh?
I mean, in a way, that's what these f***ers have done to us. They didn't actually, grab a knife and cut us up, but, man, they sure fucked up our brains. That's the way it was at Grandpa and Mama's house. Literally or figuratively, they're going down. So, with that happy thought, I shall leave you.
This poor guy.
Ricky Rodriguez's death was devastating for the community of survivors of the family, and it caused shockwaves all throughout the family itself, as his final video was plastered all over the news. And though it didn't happen in the way he expected it or wanted it to, Ricky's life and death undoubtedly contributed to the decline of the family, and helped diminish the cycle of abuse within the group. Starting from the story of Davidito, the public pressure forced Berg to outlaw the widespread abuse that he once preached. And though it is believed that it never really came to an end, it was at the very least significantly reduced. And by the time the news began to cover Ricky's death, it proved to be the final wake-up call for many still within the group, as they finally began to see through the facade that had once controlled their lives.
Like Grandpa says, prayer is powerful. When we pray, things will happen and things will be different.
It's difficult to watch any of Life with Grandpa, knowing its history, its purpose, and the real people that it was inspired by. Though as soon as the media began taking notice of the cult, many members were made to purge the media that was sent to them that may be considered incriminating. And as a result, it appears that most of Life with Grandpa is missing to this day, and potentially destroyed forever. Currently, only 4 episodes have been recovered, and it's not even known how many more were released, or even what year the show started or ended. But considering how closely the show mirrored the book, it's possible that these potentially missing and destroyed episodes are much worse than the ones we have today. But despite not knowing the full extent of the show, it's clear that Life with Grandpa and the countless other programs that the family made did exactly what they wanted them to. They brainwashed an entire generation of the cult's children, and the effects were devastating.
But they become extremely agitated when we ask them about Moses David Berg's teachings on sex.
My Little Fish. Now, your father described that as a routine publication.
They're not having sex, they're just kissing and hugging in bed. That's not sex.
If you show it to other people, they don't understand. That stuff's not supposed to be publicized. So many people think sex is wrong. So many people hate us. But we just telling them the truth. We're just telling them it's not wrong. We're just telling them that there's nothing wrong with it. And here come these publicizers showing them to everybody.
This is so sad. They were literally brainwashed.
Between the strange content from the program itself, its obvious attempts at indoctrinating kids into a cult that was only ever going to harm them, the real-life people behind the characters, and the fact that this propaganda was so effective, I have no doubt that Life with Grandpa is the darkest children's show that I've ever come across. Though, shockingly, there's somehow one more layer to the story that makes this program even more disturbing.
Another layer!
And now, here's the exciting ending to this story.
One thing that we haven't discussed yet is who was actually the one behind the creation of the show. There's no doubt that it's David Berg's stories and was probably done at his request, but who was the one actually making it? Well, unfortunately, most of the people who worked on the show have their identities hidden by only using their first names, or even using straight up aliases, so I could hardly find any information on any of them, with the exception of one: Peter Puppet. Peter Puppet was sort of a celebrity within the group, being responsible for numerous puppet shows, including one called The Lovettes, which was actually far more popular than Life with Grandpa, and was even supposedly broadcast on TV in the Philippines, with the show being a disturbing rabbit hole in its own right.
Would you like to hear a story? Well then, let's go see Grandpa in the garden. Hello, children. So nice of you to visit us in the garden today.
But Peter Puppet owned this group, and was in charge of the Lovettes team, and coincidentally, the Lovettes just so happened to be credited as the producers of Life with Grandpa. So Peter Puppet was, at the very least, one of the contributing creators of the show. And he also seems to be the one in charge of performing the actual musical numbers on the show, as they featured puppets that belonged to Peter and the Lovettes team, with these segments interestingly being credited to an unknown man named Peter Pioneer.
We have a beautiful song from Peter Pioneer.
It's not a concrete link, but it's clear that Peter Puppet had a role in the show's creation, and helped push the family's disturbed ideology onto hundreds of kids across the globe. But during the creation of Life with Grandpa, it seems his own beliefs were being tested. In the beginning of the video,
I thought he's like frigging integrated in this frigging cult.
An example of the family's view on doctors.
Surely a doctor would have stitched it, but our God is still a God of miracles. Praise the Lord.
This sentiment was really common in the family, as Berg outright forbade any medicine or surgeries of any kind, instead preaching that miracles from God were the only way to heal. And because of this, many members of the family with chronic ailments or fatal illnesses were basically left to die. And one of those left suffering was Peter Puppet. His life is almost entirely a mystery, as he lived in hiding in one of the family's compounds, but according to some of the group's members, one day he noticed something in his neck, a small lump. And over the next few weeks and months, it began to slowly get bigger and bigger, to the point that Peter had to go visit a doctor in order to see what was wrong. And it was there he learned that inside of him was an aggressive tumor that was only going to get larger. The good news was the tumor was actually operable and could be removed with little risk to his life, but the bad news was surgeries were against the family's beliefs. And so he turned it down, instead opting to go back to the compound to pray the tumor away with the other members. This, however, never happened. Instead, the mass began to grow at an even faster rate, to the point that those around him could notice it, eventually leading to Peter hiding away in his room, away from the others. Now,
yeah, if praying can cure illnesses, we will be living in a fantasy genre.
Not wanting to be seen. However, at some point during his struggle, a photograph was taken, showing the entire compound he was living with. And in the background, we see Peter.
Oh my
whose
god,
neck
it's
is
so big.
impossibly large. From here, it's said that Peter began to beg the family to take him to get the surgery, as the tumor was quite literally suffocating him slowly, turning him against the very beliefs that he once forced upon so many children over the years. But the family forbade it, insisting that he wait for a miracle that was never going to come.
Is that
With nowhere else
karma?
to turn, Peter Puppet supposedly ended his own life shortly after this photograph was taken, adding the final pillar of context to Life with Grandpa, a program that can only be described as the darkest children's show ever created.
We've got to go now. Let's wave bye-bye, kids. God bless you. Come on, say bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Sadly I wandered for many
Ah,
a
jeez.
year,
There's an
driven by
epilogue.
hunger and filled with fear. I must arise and
I don't wanna hear you sing, bro. He's not a bro anymore. Sure.
my steps
He's a menace to humanity.
seeking my heavenly Father.
He was never... Yeah, he was never freaking convicted of a single crime.
Willing to take but a servant's place.
To this day. Oh my god.
Should arise and go.
Eh? Is this the Karen who got stabbed? Or the one that got stabbed by Ricky? Is it? It's another person, huh? Or she lived?
Back to my father and home. Back to my
She was last seen in Costa Rica. Aww, she's doing a charity. Upon learning her true identity. Oh my god, that's kinda... I don't know how to feel about this, man. Oh yeah, this one. They immediately sever ties with her. Well, if she is one of the bad ones, then yeah, karma. If she is like the victim of all of this, it's hard, man. They're trying to cope. But if she's one of the bad ones, then shoot.
Back to my father and home. Why should I perish in dark despair?
That she would later speak out against what her brother did, claiming that no abuse ever took place and that Ricky was simply disturbed. She remains in the family till this day.
I will arise and go, deeply repenting.
Due to the statute of limitation, the many victims of the family will likely never receive the justice they deserve. The family continue its operation with strict rules against the abuse of the children. I see, okay. It went down significantly. However, they have never disavowed the teachings. They're still very thirsty. I see.
Sweet are those memories that come to me.
Like, we don't really know what's going on here.
Again,
like all the victims, the poor victims, man. People want my opinions after the videos. To be honest, most of my thoughts are mostly conveyed during the reaction as I have a goldfish memory. Okay, except for the David Burke guy. I hate that I remember his name. Ugh. I hope that I'm asking nicely. Please stay in hell. I don't want some reincarnation thing. Please just stay down there, never to be seen again. Take a dip in some hell water to quench your thirst. We don't need you up here. And then there's the poor children that cry, saying that sex is actually a good thing. Well, they're brainwashed, man. They're trying to justify their purpose of sex. It was normalized there. It was normal for them. Then suddenly they found out that the outside world viewed this act as indecent, weird, whatever you want to call it. It's like a whole frigging ass culture shock to her. In their brains, they must have been trying to explain that it's good. Because if it's bad, then what have they been living for? That act has been with them since they were born. What's the purpose of instilling that act in their brain and tell them it's good when it's bad? Nobody likes to be told that they are wrong, that their ideology, that their everything is wrong. They're trying to justify themselves just to not break down. The poor kids, man. In the middle, the adults. The adults, however, I don't know what to say about them, to be honest. To each of their own. I myself could tell them, like, you have many choices in life. Why pick the ugly one? Why would you pick the dead end one, the bad choice? But because like different people have different circumstances and difficulties, I can't pin my ideology to someone else. If I did, wouldn't it make me a cult?